Hello, my name is David Pierce, and for my design project, Attunement Play Experience, I thought I would try to make something that looks at attunement play and how people interact with others, say a child or an animal perhaps, and kind of bring it to kind of compress it down into like what if it was a toy that people could look at and play with, but also interact with in a meaningful way that would make new neurological connections. And so I guess for my sketches, I originally started thinking off, okay, so we got to make an interactive toy, maybe a toy dog, or that would light up and make sounds. That wasn't kind of what I thought of or what I was going for. Another kind of big thing that people like is like this big stuffed seal that I've seen around on the internet. So could I use that for something and light it up, make it make sounds or something? But then I kind of took a step back, and like, okay, what if it was just a ball or a cube or some shape that people could have and use and interact with? So I decided on a cube. It's pretty simple, four or six sides, and like cubes are everywhere. I thought of, all right, well, I'm in the Herberger Institute, so and I have access to 3D printers, so why don't I just 3D print the cube? And that's what I have right here. I'll go into more of this later. But using 3D printing and my knowledge of coding and access to an Adafruit circuit playground, I thought of, hey, I could make this really simple cube into something that people can interact with and start to feel uh, anger, disgust, sadness, and anything about what I could make a cube do. And so I prototyped some code to make it interact, which I'll get into a little bit later, and thought about what people, if I were to just give somebody the cube without saying anything, hey, you see what this does. How would they react? How would this attunement play with just this object work? And so I thought of, okay, well, there's a cube, lights, or I'll put some holes in it for lights and sound. I'll use the Adafruit Circuit Playground to sit in there somewhere and battery pack, and based on how you turn it, it would react. And so, luckily, Microsoft has a coding thing exactly for this Adafruit Circuit Playground, and you can see this block code here, how you'd be able to, based on the acceleration x and y, greater or less than, it'll set a volume and it'll play a sound and it'll light up the pixels. So I will give you a test of this right now. So you can see that based on how it's turned or how the Adafruit acts inside of the cube, people will be like, okay, I'm gonna point it down. Oh, yellow and this pitch. Okay, what does that mean? Or, ooh, okay, I just threw it against the wall and that was a pretty high pitch. It must have not have liked that, perhaps. So having something that people can interact with and feel about, it's just a simple cube, but I'm having feelings about this thing, or it's interacting in a way that I wouldn't expect it to, is kind of what I thought about for the attunement play. We learned about how the neurological connections between a mother and her 4-month old child, um, the mother coddling the child and them interacting with each other. There's new brain connections being made in terms of play for both the mother and the child. I also thought about how well, when I was younger, me and my dog, I would make crazy adventures and dress my dog up in a costume, and I would have to make new situations based on what my dog did. And like, okay, well, now this is happening. So I believe new connections in the brain are being made there also. And so to have this be a toy that people can interact with, maybe for people like how service animals are exist, how service animals exist for people, to have something maybe not as hard but softer and that people can interact with, and just something to do to make new connections would be really interesting. And I thought that maybe one day a simple cube could be more than just a simple cube.